After about 10 years of usage, my beloved 15-inch MacBook Pro gave up on the demanding task of content creation. Looking for an update, I eventually decided on a model to bring my best as a creator at a fairly reasonable price. Regarded as the sweet spot for content creators, that is none other than the 16-inch MacBook Pro with 24-core GPU M1 Max. The device finally came, although I ordered it in February this year. And while this is disappointing since Apple has already announced their M2 chip, I'd like to make you part of this special moment by sharing my thoughts when unboxing the machine. Opening the box. More than 90% fiber-based, the box is quite heavy. After all, the 16-inch MacBook Pro weighs 4.8 pounds with the M1 Max and 4.7 with the M1 Pro. The box has a nylon pull tab on the side, so a knife isn't required to open it. Inside the box there is the laptop on the top, and underneath there is the power supply and some documentation. Stickers. Along with this, you get the black Apple stickers verifying this is a Pro device. As you probably know, only the most premium Apple products come with such stickers, excluding AirPods Pro, iPhone 13 Pro and iPhone 13 Pro Max. Everything in this box is wrapped in paper and not plastic, reminding us we live in the future and not in the early 2000s to mid 2010s. Unwrapping the machine. Removing the wrapping paper, I immediately encounter the laptop's thickness. It somewhat matches my mid-2012 model. As an Apple fanboy, I am happy Apple returned to providing pros and creatives the desired raw power and connectivity. The thicker and larger the chassis, the better the cooling and the more capable the hardware inside. Charger. Unlike the 14-inch, which depending on the specs comes with a 67 or 96, this one includes a 140-watt charger, which is Magsafe to USB-C, somewhat similar to the older models. Having the space gray, I don't like the power supply being silver, but it is what it is. I would be happy to have it in space gray, although I don't plan on paying too much attention to it anyway. On the other hand, the power adapter has a braided cable, which feels very premium, and hopefully it will last longer than those of my previous Macs. Battery. According to Apple, the battery is significantly improved. The 100 Wh lithium polymer battery lasts up to 21 hours of video playback and about 14 hours of web browsing. Color. Although I like the sharper contrast between the silver chassis and the black keys and how it reminds me of stuff from Star Wars, I went with the space gray, having zero regrets. I wanted the color for so long, being somewhat bored with using classic aluminum devices for about 15 years. Much darker, this space gray is very different from my iPhone and some iPad models. Another reason for picking it is that it matches way better with my grey Apollo Twin audio interface and my black or dark grey Neumann TLM103. As long as I know, Universal Audio came up with this color mainly to go with Apple's space gray, and their silver is very similar to Apple's. Silver, aluminum, and in defense of the space gray. Most people argue that the new silver reminds them of Steve Jobs and the aluminum Macs from the mid-2000s and early 2010s. While I agree, I was there when those Macs came out. Still having some of them working, I'm tired of seeing the same color. The darker, on the other hand, looks gorgeous. It is very sleek, professional and futuristic, and now that I have it, I appreciate its dimmed and subtle contrast even more, whereas the silver seems too loud and somewhat distracting. Shipping. Probably this is increased by my crazy anticipation because of waiting for the device for too long. Due to chip shortage, a configuration like mine wasn't available in the local retail stores, so dealing with that was inevitable. Nevertheless, I still cannot justify that the device was shipped 10 additional weeks after the promised date. Specs. Knowing my needs and wanting to future-proof, I think I got the best bang for my buck with this 16-inch MacBook Pro. Rather than maxing it out, I opted for the 24-core M1 Max with 1TB SSD and 32GB of RAM. I considered the 14-inch for a moment, but then I learned about its throttling limitations. As a content creator who doesn't move a lot, I also wanted the big screen. Plus, I am 6.4 with somewhat large palms, so the 16-inch MacBook Pro made more sense. Those who helped me make the decision were channels like MaxTech, Matt Who is Matt Johnson and ZebraZone. Is it an overkill and why I got this configuration? Some people might say that such a configuration is overkill. On the contrary, I plan to use the laptop with the Adobe Suite, which includes a dynamic link workflow for my videos. I also want to be able to multitask and do some light work in Photoshop, Illustrator and InDesign when having a new book to publish. Besides that, I'll use my new Mac for writing and coding with Visual Studio and apps like Notion and Grammarly. Occasionally, I might produce some music with FL Studio and Ableton for recording, although my fully upgraded mid-2012 MacBook Pro still crushes such work with no issues. Display. The 2021 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro models share the same basic features. This includes the stunning Liquid Retina XDR display with a resolution of 3456 by 2234 and a pixel density of 254 ppi. With 10,000 mini LEDs, the Liquid Retina XDR looks incredible, and as long as I know, this is the same technology as that used in Apple's ultra high-end XDR display. Its notch doesn't bother me at all, and I appreciate the larger screen, excited to make videos with Premiere Pro and After Effects. Ports. The 2021 16-inch MacBook Pro also includes more ports to be appreciated, since reducing the need for dongles. On the left, the ports are Magsafe charger, 2 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C, and a headphone jack. There is an SD card slot, another Thunderbolt 4 USB-C, and one HDMI port on the right. Feeling very satisfying, the Magsafe snaps every time you plug it. Yet I'm most excited about the SD card slot. As a content creator, I couldn't be more grateful that Apple brought this one back. I really missed it on my old Mac when it stopped working a few years ago after a software update. Chassis and cooling. A 0.66 inches thick, the 2021 16-inch MacBook Pro feels highly premium and beefy when I hold it. I like its flat design and rounded edges, and the weight doesn't bother me since I'm used to a model with a similar weight. The Apple logo on the top panel complements the cover, and the new feet on the bottom seem pretty solid. Unlike previous models, on which those were on the screen, the MacBook Pro letters are engraved on the bottom panel of this one. The laptop's ventilation is no longer on the back, but on the sides. Apple claims that this advanced thermal system improves airflow by 50%, even at lower fan speeds. And due to the efficiency of the Apple silicon, the fans rarely kick in. We will see about that when I start editing videos with Premiere Pro and After Effects. Sound and speakers. Coming from a 2012 model, I cannot express my satisfaction with these MacBook speakers. The best I ever heard on a laptop, they pack tons of punch, providing a full and rich sound with an outstandingly clean low end. Truth be told, the speakers made me rediscover the mixes of some of my tracks, such as how great at capturing my voice my Apollo and Neumann actually are. Contrary to some people's beliefs, invoking angels could be readily accessible. This is one of the key messages conveyed in Damon Brandt's The 72 Angels of Magic. Made of the material in Magical Angels and the Greater Magical Angels, the book outlines a method developed by Gallery of Magic around 30 years ago. Keyboard and trackpad. The 2021 16-inch MacBook Pro has an all-black keyboard, and I really like its contrast with the chassis cover. Typing on this keyboard is fantastic, since it feels almost identical to my old Mac, but somewhat snappier, which I will likely get used to. Thank God Apple got rid of the butterfly keyboard, which, let's face it, was an abomination. Extremely responsive and accurate, the trackpad is perfect fit for my hands, although I'm still used to my older one and find this a bit bigger. No touch bar. Also, thank God Apple removed the touch bar. Knowing some people loved it, I think Apple might offer it as an option when customizing your machine. I personally do not want it on any of my devices, so I couldn't be happier, satisfied with the Touch ID. Final words. Overall, my first impression is that I'm thrilled with this device and can't wait to put it to the test making videos and coding. It's a massive update for me, I love the way it looks and it will be my main driver for a while. So, like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to this channel if you want more content on tech. Also consider checking my other channels, blog and books. Thank you for your time.